Hello, I'm Susan Simons and I'm the Total Tax Contribution Leader at PwC. With me is Neil Gregory, Acting Director of Global Indicators and Analysis at the World Bank. And we're here to share some of the findings of a global study on paying taxes. We wanted to find out what it's like for companies to comply with tax laws and regulations in 183 economies around the world. Neil, perhaps you'd like to start with some of the findings.
Yes, thank you, Susan. The findings bring some good news. Paying taxes is getting easier. In the past 6 years, 60% of the economies covered in the study have made significant regulatory changes to ease the paying of taxes. And in the past year alone, 40 economies have made it easier to pay taxes. Now, the first time we did the research was in 2006. And when we look at the economies that are included in both the 2006 and in this year's study, the time needed to comply with tax laws has declined by a week and the number of tax payments has dropped by almost 4. Best practices, such as having one tax per tax base and the use of technology, are among the reforms that have simplified tax compliance. And that's not all. The tax cost has fallen on average by 5 percentage points. In the past 6 years, 90 economies have reduced taxes on corporate profits.
And the results show that year on year, governments around the world have reduced taxes on company profits to encourage business investment and stimulate growth. Many governments have also improved and simplified their tax systems for local firms, and this is really paying off.
One of the things that helps make it easier for companies to comply with tax requirements is the use of technology. 60 economies in our study now use effective electronic filing and payment systems. Tunisia introduced this, and as a result, it has managed to reduce the number of tax payments companies need to make in a year by 14 and reduce compliance time by 84 hours.
That's good news. But I think there is potential for more focus in the area of easing the compliance burden. More can be done. On average, the typical company measured in our study pays nearly half of its commercial profit in taxes, spends 7 weeks dealing with its tax affairs, and makes a tax payment every 12 days. What's interesting is that the results vary widely by region. In the OECD and the European Union, it takes the least time to comply with tax requirements. These higher-income economies tend to have more mature tax systems, a lighter administrative touch, and make greater use of technology. At the other end are the G20, Latin America, and the Caribbean, where it takes the longest time to comply. There are differences between taxes too. Of all taxes, it takes the longest time to comply with consumption taxes, especially VAT. This is the most important form of consumption tax used around the world. In fact, 148 out of the 183 economies covered in our study have a VAT-type sales tax system. In these economies, it takes nearly 64% as much time again to comply with VAT as it does to comply with corporate income tax. So to summarise, the key message is that progress has definitely been made in making the payment of taxes more straightforward. But there's always more to be done and lessons to be learned from those countries making the greatest strides in this area. That is critical to the effective running of businesses around the world. Thank you very much for listening.